Welcome into another edition of Under the Bus, where three old guys who've been on a few buses in our day, and under them probably too, extol the virtues of sport, but also throw a lot of sports people under the bus. I'm Bob Stevens from the ESPN SportsCenter Glory Days, joined by Curry Kirkpatrick of Sports Illustrated's Golden Days, and Hall of Fame coach Rich Basirico, who he just deals with gold medals and things like that from basketball's Golden Days. Hey, we begin in your guys' wheelhouse, the NCAA tournament. Everybody's brackets busted to a point, but so much chalk in the first weekend. You actually went to games up in Charlotte.
I went to Charlotte for the first round.
Talk about.
Well, before Rich puts us in the weeds with his numbers what coach didn't cover the ball screen up 6 with 3:20 to go, and before you announced the anniversary of. What's that guy from your Cleveland State? The anniversary of Kevin.
Oh, is it Kevin Mackey's
getting out of rehab? Is probably his
that's the anniversary.
I just want to say how I was reminded again how great this tournament is. What an American treasure! You know, I went last week, and Rich and I are going to the Final Four. It's just so special. It's so different from anything I've ever been. You know, being at Sports Illustrated, I get to go to the World Series and Super Bowl, even the college football teams. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like this thing. The vibe, the flavor, the atmosphere, the family stuff. I mean, there's families that go. It's just a wonderful thing to go to and just experience it again.
Is the first round even more amazing? You know, we're talking now to people who haven't been, than going to the Final Four.
It's a whole. Well, that's a whole different vibe. It's a whole different crowd. Okay. You know, it's a smaller arena. It's such a family event, and there's so many great stories that come out of that you experience, especially in the first round. I mean, last week we had Shaka Smart makes the Sweet 16 for the first time in 13 years, coaching Marquette. Now he got there with Virginia Commonwealth. He's practically in tears after the game. I mean, it's been 13 years since he made the Final Four, and. You know, we have Mark Sears, the Alabama star. His mom is in the crowd mimicking his shooting style and free throws and then screaming her head off. You know, she became, an internet sensation. Right. Her mom goes viral. We had the Yale band couldn't show up in Spokane.
Right.
So somebody got that word to the University of Idaho.
Yeah, they bought the Idaho band.
They brought the Idaho band, who had somehow...
bought the Idaho band.
Well, okay. I didn't say that.
I didn't. They did. That's what you do. You buy their band and you say, I mean, what's a band cost? They're not very expensive.
It's a 4-hour
They're not at the portal.
It's a 4-hour round trip. Moscow, Idaho, to Spokane. And somehow they had Yale shirts, Yale hats. They had the Yale songs. They had the Yale songs. They practiced it all. And this is the kind of great stuff. I mean, just in Charlotte alone, in my first round, we had... the kid from Tennessee, Zakiya, whatever his name is, I can't remember now. But he played against his brother in the first round at St. Peter's.
Yeah, that's right.
Zakiya Ziegler.
Okay.
We have Rick Barnes coaching against his former assistant, long time in Texas, Rodney Perry, and their hugs and emotions all around. And just one more vignette: Michigan State, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Tom Izzo's lead assistant is a guy named Doug Wojcik, who you know, and I'm a friend of his, and I'm know the family. I first knew him when he played with David Robinson at Navy. He's a terrific player, Doug. He's been a head coach at Tulsa. He's been a head coach at Charleston. He's been assistant coach a lot of places. He's now been with Izzo. So they're lined up, and he has a son named Paxton Wojcik, who's a reserve at North Carolina. Pretty good player.
Right. Played at Porter Goud for a little bit.
Porter Goud. And went to Brown.
Yep.
But then he ends up in North Carolina because he went to the Portal. It's his dream school because he grew up in Chapel Hill for a time. There's pictures. I've seen pictures of him as a little boy on the Dean Smith in the Dean Dome stands. Anyway.
Well, because Doug was an assistant at
North Carolina. So they're lined up for the national anthem, and here's the father on one end and the son at the other end. So the anthem finishes, and all the players and coaches, all these straggle over the benches, except Doug and Paxton stalked each other, came to midcourt. They were right at midcourt on the sideline. And I watched this whole thing. And they went into this unbelievable emotional hug. I mean, my heart practically broke watching this thing. It was like, because Rich, Bob, here's a coach that wants to end, he wants to
Sure.
end his son's college career. And that's what he's playing for.
Yeah.
And the son is trying to deny his father a trip to the Sweet 16, where they usually go.
Right.
I mean, Rich, you coached your own son. What about coaching against your son? What would that have
be
been
tough.
like?
That been really
I
tough.
mean,
That'd have been hard.
That would have
Yeah.
been very hard. Because you want him to do well, but you don't want him to win. So that would be very hard. They braced for a while. I saw that. They really, I mean, it wasn't just like boom, and they really held on for
I
a
was
while.
watching this, it seemed like 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't, but I mean, what they must have said to each other. I couldn't see the faces, but it was, and they were all, everybody else was gone. It was just them.
Yeah.
It was like,
Cool stuff.
oh my
That's
God.
good stuff.
And
Really
I'm sure TV apparently got it. But
That would have been a great feature in Sports Illustrated.
Well, and then Hubert Davis put in Paxson.
He did well.
Middle of the first half during our rally.
Yeah.
And he fires us up. He's an energy guy.
Yeah.
And he's a shooter. He missed his three, but then the next
Kicked it.
surface down, he comes on a 3-on-1. He's 3 feet from the basket, but he's guarded.
Right.
He kicks it to R.J. Davis, who splashes a three. Paxson is running down the court practically
With-
right as
with-
it passed.
with three. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He ran down the
With the ball was still in the air.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
He
saw
passes
that.
the ball.
Yeah.
He puts the three up like he's making it.
It was great, and I think he played so well. He's motivated to play against his dad because he hadn't been in about the last 3 or 4 games.
Correct. Yeah.
And it was just great stuff.
He plays hard. He does.
He gives us energy. He really does.
Yeah.
All right, we got all the emotion. What about the basketball? You want to throw some people under the bus
Right? You want me to throw him under the bus right now?
right now.
Right now.
Lordy.
Let's get
I
back
think
to
the
it.
first thing
Whistle
was-
blew.
First guy.
No, the first thing I want to throw under the
Don't
bus
do
is,
teams.
No, I'm not going to do teams right now. The first thing I want to throw under the bus is foul shooting. At the major college level, for these guys to shoot so poorly, the kid from Baylor was 5 for 12. He's a major college basketball player.
But
Baylor
that's
should
been a
should
problem
be
forever,
constantly.
hasn't it?
It's sad.
Curry, I mean, it seems to me that's been
It's
a problem
free
forever.
throws. It's
So
free.
Rich,
Free.
since you put that guy out there, he was my sad
Story.
story, under the bus story. His name is Jacoby Walter. He's an 80% free throw shooter. Ooh. And he had 2 shots to tie the game against Clemson. Baylor had come back, and P.J. Hall, Clemson's star player, fouled out on that play.
Yeah.
Walter goes to the line. He misses 2. Clemson comes down, makes their free throws, game over.
Right.
I mean, that guy's got to carry that for a long
He
time.
will, and he will carry it for a long
Yeah.
time. And that's not the only game. There are several games where guys just can't make their foul shot. It's major college basketball. We used to tell our players, it's the one place LeBron James and Michael Jordan was playing with you. They can stop you from scoring. But at the fouling, they can't stop you.
No.
It's just you and the basket.
There's no
And
defense.
what ends up happening is it's right here. It gets in your head, and instead of thinking, I'm going to make it, I'm hoping I'm going to make it. Well, you can't hope you're going to make it. You got to know that you are going to make it. You're going to make you pay for fouling me. I'm going to nail these 2 fouls.
Did you ever have kids like that, a dramatic finish and missed a free throw? And what's that like in the locker room?
Okay, I'll tell you. Here's a quick story. We were up, Hilton Head Christian, our big rival. We're up by 1. My best foul shooter, shooting probably 84%, was at the line for 2. We're up 1, could make it up 3, and they were not a very good shooting 3-point.
He clinched the game. He's going to clinch the game.
He misses both. So they come down in transition. He's so upset. I'm sure he's so upset with himself. He goes and double teams the ball, which he should never. He should have stayed home with his own player. They drive baseline because he left his guy. Drive baseline, misses the shot. The ball hangs on the rim. Our guy's up, and the guy behind him gets it because he hangs on the rim and scores. No good. We win the game. So we shake hands. We celebrate. Everybody's happy. The officials talk about it. They come back and go, "Basket's good." And we lose the game.
What, because of a time situation?
Well, they said that
it was too late?
originally the shot didn't get off in time.
Too late.
And they talked about it, and we celebrated. They did, their fans. We shook hands. Their fans were like, "Okay, Christian Prep won. Prep won."
We shook hands and then they did
we
it?
shook hands. Their scorekeeper didn't even change because we were playing at their place. Didn't even change. So then they come back and go, "It's good." But you know what? You make your foul shots. That's not a problem. So
You think the coach was happy? We haven't heard about the reaction of the kid. How about the reaction of the coach?
we're not talking about that.
Speaking of coaches, our weekly coach under the bus is your boy John Calipari.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, let's throw him under
Well, certainly.
in his final game of the season.
I've been talking about it all year long.
playing somebody named Oakland,
Yeah.
who nobody ever heard of. In fact, I don't know if Calipari said he prepared for this game. I think he thought Oakland was California
Right,
Oakland,
right.
or the Pittsburgh Oakland, which was his hometown. He's playing in. They're actually outside of Detroit. And Jack Golke, who all he does is shoot threes. and
Never puts it
Calipari-
on the floor. Never puts it on the floor.
Rich, how many twos did he shoot all year? 8 twos the guy
And he
shot.
shot over 300 threes.
300 threes. And he made 10, count them, 10 against Calipari. And also, Kentucky looked like they never played against a zone, which is all Oakland plays.
Right.
So he's
His
going down.
preparation
And then
was terrible.
after the game, does he take account for anything, Calipari? No. I mean, his star freshman player, Reed Shepard, who
He was
Calipari.
awful.
Well,
He
he
was
was awful until he made a three toward the end.
did.
And Calipari still took him out at the end. He wasn't in at the end to start
No, but
shooting.
he put him back in, and he shot a 3. They were down 4. Even the announcer said they don't need a
that's
3.
right,
They don't need a 3.
yeah.
And Shepard comes down and shoots a 3.
Well, he was weeping after the game, but he also was defending his coach. I don't think we can defend. Calipari took no account. He said, "Oh, we were too young. We were too young. This
Everybody's
kid,
young.
this
Everybody's young."
this team was an old team veteran." He said, "Our average age is 19. There's no way their average age
You're
is 19.
Kentucky,
They've got
and
two
they're Oakland.
They've got 2 5-year players on Kentucky that play a lot. So his average age is not 19."
Well, let me.
And they said, "Well, are you going to keep doing this? Getting one and done as the
Right.
best freshman in the country," and they keep losing. And he said, "Well, I can't do it any other way. That's all I know." What, are you kidding me?
Well, here's the thing. This is what he needs to learn. They had 3 timeouts. Down the stretch, he doesn't use any. He doesn't use any of his timeouts. You know when he uses a timeout? When there's 3.6 seconds and they're down 4.
Yeah.
What good is that? You know why he did that? To show people that he used his timeouts. Because people can come back and go, "You had 3 timeouts. Why didn't you use any?"
Well, which they
I'll
have.
take
You
it with
have.
3.6
Yeah.
seconds and use a timeout down 4.
Well, and now the whole Kentucky fan base wants him out. They've hated him for years. They want him. Want him. Everybody says.
Who are they going to get?
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
His buyout is $33 million or something.
yeah.
Listen, Kentucky alumni will pay that in a second. They have no conscience.
Right.
I mean, Kentucky alumni, bring Patino back. Bring you back, me back, bring Charles Manson back. They don't care. They just want W's. I mean, they just want
Right.
W's. They'll
Kentucky's
get rid
fans
of
are
him in a
nuts.
second if they need to. If they want to.
And $33 million is less than half of what A&M used to buy out their football coach, Jimbo Fisher.
That's right, it was $75 million,
It was
wasn't
$75 million. Oh,
Well, he also does not have a great relationship with his AD, nor with his football coach. Remember when Calipari a couple years ago said, "We're a basketball school"?
Yeah.
And the AD and was it Mark Stoops, the football coach, were not pleased. So I think he's walking on thin ice. This guy. I mean,
Definitely.
Rich, he's 65 years old. He has $1 zillion in the bank. Why does he need this? He knows the whole fan base hates him.
man, I
Why
wish
does he
I
go
looked
through
like
this
that at
every year?
65, though.
'Cause
Man,
it-
he looks
it's his
good at
ego.
65.
Oh yeah, he looks great.
Curry,
But
it's his
think how
ego.
great. Think how great he'd look if he retired. I mean,
It's his ego. He wants to prove to people he can coach. Can we throw another guy under the
Yes,
bus?
throw
in the
one other
same
guy
league?
on the bus.
Another favorite, Bruce Pearl.
No!
Bruce Pearl is playing
Oh!
Yale. Come on now, you're SEC school. You're playing Ivy.
Yeah.
You're up 10 with 5 and 6 minutes to go, I guess it was, and they lost the lead and couldn't beat Yale.
yeah, but remember Yale had the Idaho band
Well,
working
that's
for
probably
him.
the
Well, when you
difference.
get
No, that's not the first time Ivy Leaguers have been vandalized. I mean, the Idaho's the Vandals, and by the way, the
Nice.
Vandals are a historically great punk rock band,
Oh, is that right?
and
didn't know
their best album was something about ill, slippery when ill. That's the name of their album, Slippery When Ill.
Okay.
I mean, moving on, I think.
Please.
Well, I mean, let's go to the region. Let's go east to Connecticut. People are calling this the Connecticut Invitational.
Well,
already, but I think-
let's set that up. Let's
All
take a
right.
quick break.
All right.
We're going to talk. Everybody now knows what has happened in the past. We're going to look ahead because the regionals are coming. You're staying home this weekend because you're getting ready to go to the Final Four, both of you. So we'll talk about that when we continue. Onto the bus. We welcome you back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. Okay, we got UConn playing in Boston. We got Houston playing in Dallas. We got Purdue playing in Detroit. Big deal. I mean, those three should move. You got North Carolina having to actually travel.
And Arizona's playing on their second home court in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
so,
Carolina, and then Carolina has to go all the way out there. So I'm trying to give you some love here. I'm trying to give you a little.
But now we have to play Arizona. Well, let's start off with Connecticut. I mean, we haven't even mentioned them. They just destroyed.
Is it theirs?
They just destroyed everybody.
Theirs to lose.
They're already calling it the Connecticut Invitational, which was what they used to call it, the UCLA in the 70s.
Right.
They call it the UCLA Invitation.
Right.
And even the San Diego State coach, after they win, he was interviewed by CBS. He said, "Well, this is the Connecticut Invitational. We're going to try and go spoil the party." Speaking of parties, did you know? I mean, it was reported this week now that Danny Hurley's wife brings a portable washing machine on road trips to wash his underwear because he's, superstitious. He wears the same underwear every day. I don't even want to hear that.
That's not a story.
Too much information.
Yeah.
But Hurley was told right after the game last week that he's playing the first game on Thursday night, which what they call it, an early tip.
Okay.
Well, he got really upset.
Well, because he had to get upset about
because
something.
An early tip, yeah. He says, "Well, this is just against the world. I can keep calling this it's us against the world all over. The committee is out to get us."
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is so paranoid.
Yeah.
what's wrong with playing the early tip? It's a I
that's
think
why I
he
would
thought
wanna
it's a
play.
disrespect.
Some of the games are played after 10 o'clock at night.
He's thinking it's disrespectful. Come on.
Well, if he thinks that winning a basketball game is because his underwear is clean,
Yeah.
he's in the wrong business.
Well,
He thinks that's gonna
speaking
win
of
games.
trips, San Diego
Thank
State.
God we're talking about trips instead of clean underwear. But go ahead. Speaking of,
San Diego State had to go to Spokane, which is on the edge of Canada.
Yeah.
Go back to San Diego, was on the edge of Mexico. Now he's got to go all the way to Boston to get. It's a long way to go to get your ass kicked. I just say, is there going to be a difference? It's a rematch. By the way, I guess you got to know this trivia.
Right.
It's a rematch of the national championship game last year, San Diego State, Connecticut. Who's the last teams to do that?
rematch?
Rematch of the national championship game the next year in the tournament. I looked it up. I couldn't find it. I imagine the two schools know, but it's a great trivia question.
I would just say Gonzaga and somebody in the last 10 years because Gonzaga's been
I would
so
say,
long
I would say it's
into the
UCLA.
tournament lately.
I was just saying UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA and somebody.
How about UCLA Duke back in the 60s?
Well,
I'm not
I
so sure
don't think that
made it through the tournament that
years.
far.
Yeah, they made it
often.
to the
I know they
Final
played
Four
in the
twice.
championship
so
game
maybe
the
that
one year
worked.
out
Maybe
in
that's it.
Portland,
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That is a long time ago. All right. So
If
anyway,
there's going to be a difference this time, we're moving on to next week.
let's talk about it.
San Diego State's star player is a guy named Jaden Leday, who was on the team last year, but now he's become a star. He's made numbers, boy. He's made 20 of his 30 shots in the tournament.
That's pretty darn good.
And the Aztecs made 13 threes in the last game.
Ooh.
So maybe that's something for Connecticut to think about. I don't
think
know.
about it. You can't take anybody lightly, especially in a tournament like this. You cannot take anybody lightly.
Now that you're into the 16, I mean, we got top 8 still alive, 12 of the top 16 still alive.
Right, that's pretty good.
I mean, you've cut a bunch of people out.
Right.
Is this the weekend for the real basketball aficionado who wants to see good basketball?
Well, the other game in the East is Illinois, Iowa State.
And that's a good game.
That's
That should be a
offense
very
against
good
defense.
game. Right.
I mean, as we talked last week, Illinois has Shannon and Domask, who's like the ebony and ivory of the tournament. But Iowa State is such a good defensive team.
They're very good.
And their star player is their point guard named Tamin Lipsey.
Okay.
Tamin Lipsey. He's a local Ames, Iowa kid.
Wow.
And his name, I don't know where he got his first name, Tamin, but I think it should be Famine because that's what teams are going up against when they try to score on this guy.
Yeah.
But I would love Iowa State, Connecticut, Elite Eight game.
That would be great.
Because your boy T.J. Otzelberger with his tight shirt sleeves and he's pumping his iron against Danny Hurley wants to fight guy.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I don't think Danny Hurley wants any part
Clear
of
the
this
benches,
guy.
huh?
I don't think Danny Hurley wants any part of fight guy.
I think he pumps iron before he comes out on the sidelines because he's pumped.
But wouldn't that be fun to see them get
That could happen.
into it on the? I don't think once the fight guy wants any part of this guy. I think he'd find himself in the Charles River upside down.
Houston escapes and gets into the Sweet 16, almost lets it get away. Although, again, I think one of the great huddle speeches before the overtime when Kelvin Sampson tells his team, I mean, this is right out of the coach's book. You guys were made for this. This is exactly why we've done all the stuff we've done all year, because something like this was going to happen to us. We were going to blow a lead,
right.
But be saved. We got to overtime. Now it's all ours, and it was.
Well, he was positive about it. Some coaches would kind of dog their team.
Be scared to death.
Right, they get on for letting the lead go like that. I went to bed. Going to bed thinking, okay, they're up 9 with 4 minutes to go, and then just before I got into the bed, let me just look to see what the score is. They're going into overtime. I couldn't believe it.
Well, Texas A&M did scare them, did that?
No question.
No question about it. And the guy at A&M is a terrific coach, as we know.
Yeah.
But now Houston gets Duke.
I hope they
in the Sweet 16.
And
Duke last week played like NIT teams. They played Vermont, and then they played Dolly Madison. And Dolly had a great game earlier by beating Wisconsin, but then they showed up and didn't show up.
They didn't show up.
I mean, it was a terrible game.
They didn't show up. They played off. They got behind. They didn't know what to do with themselves because most of the year they won 32 games.
Yeah,
so they didn't know how to handle themselves when they were behind. Like really, they didn't know how to handle it.
And Duke came out unlike I've seen him all year. Really came out aggressively. The kid McCain, the freshman, is a great shooter. He got 30 against them, and the three-headed backcourt of Duke had 63 against Dolly Madison. Now they're playing Houston. It's going to be a bit different, a bit harder, a little bit harder.
Just a little bit.
Now you're the stat man now. These stats.
I know.
I like it. I like it a lot.
The Houston defense will, I think they're the roughest, toughest, best defensive team in still standing, and Duke is going to be up against it. I don't think Duke's going to be able to cope with that.
I don't think so either. Time will tell, but I think Houston's the better team. Will beat Duke.
The other matchup, we have DJ Burns of North Carolina State, who's become a cartoon hero character of the whole tournament. They're the only double-digit seed left standing, right? NC State. They played 2 great games that they weren't supposed to win.
Right.
And now they're up
What's
against.
That now 7 in a row that they've won.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And
when one loss sends you home. Yeah.
Well, and the coach was on the hot seat.
Yeah.
If they didn't make the NCAA playoffs, I think he's
gone.
Kevin
gone, right?
Keats, yeah, he would have been gone.
Yeah.
But it's down low. That kid is so tough. He's 275, weighs 275.
Well, his girth and his smile and his creative moves. He has so many great little creative moves inside.
Yeah.
And then he laughs and he trash talks everybody. I mean, people are loving him. I mean, he's a hero in his tournament.
He is.
He's a star of this tournament.
It's fun.
I mean, he had a great line. He said, "If a team is capable, you got to talk." So, I mean, DJ Burns. I mean, nobody knew who he was until this.
But you know what I felt bad
my
about?
God.
Oakland played NC State in that game, and Oakland had the ball with 12 seconds with a score tied and couldn't get a shot off. They didn't get a shot off because they had the guy at the top trying to make an entry pass from the top.
I thought NC State played good defense in the
They
in the
did,
last
but
possession.
they had the big guy at the top trying to make an entry pass from the top. You can't make it from the top. You can make it from the side.
The coach.
He threw it out of bounds.
Well, let's get out of the weeds.
All right.
Oh my God, what's happening now? North Carolina State now plays Marquette.
Oof.
Does anybody remember the last time they played in the tournament?
Marquette? Or
Against NC State. Their last meeting in the tournament.
Al McGuire was the coach.
Yeah.
It was the national championship game.
Al McGuire and Norm Sloan.
Well, I call it it was played in Greensboro.
Yeah.
I call it the anticlimactic final because North Carolina State in the semifinals beat UCLA, stopping their streak and ending the great Bill Walton's career. And SI, my magazine, came out the next week with the semifinal game on the cover. And poor Marquette, who played in the final,
nothing.
Nobody even remembers who they were. And here they are meeting again, and I think Marquette advances.
Absolutely.
Marquette's
They're
point guard.
They're fun to watch.
You and I were watching. Yeah, you and I were watching it together, and Marquette's point guard. It's just he's
Tyler
terrific.
Kolek, what a shot he made to end that game.
Yeah.
He circled around.
Yeah.
I mean, he does that. He's been doing that all year. He's left-handed. He goes up. He somehow gets his arms so far out to make these like 5-footers.
Right.
And now he's going to be playing against the Shed of Houston, who are probably the two best all-around point guards in America.
He's so fun, though.
That's
He
a
sees
great
the floor
game.
so
Yeah,
well.
watch him
Yes.
pass. Watch him passes.
He's a
are
joy
just
to watch.
Brilliant. All right.
Marquette Houston, a great game.
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I mean, it's the tournament. That's what they produce.
Is
right?
this your? Do you got any more semifinal or Sweet
Well,
16?
that's the South, right? We haven't even talked about the Midwest.
I've lost track of the regions. Go
Well,
ahead.
in the Midwest,
Yes.
this is Purdue's region to lose, right?
Should
I mean,
be.
it's Purdue with Zach Edey.
Should be.
You know, I call him the Boiler Mountain Man. They passed through. You know, they dominated their region.
Yeah.
And they were playing with all those ghosts of first round horror stories past. They
Sure.
kind of skipped right through them, which was impressive to me.
Yeah.
And I think their supporting cast is way better than last year.
Definitely,
yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, watch them out for them, baby.
Well, Mark Few
they're
knows
alive.
how to,
Mark
he,
Few
Mark,
is,
he knows
he's
how to
good.
win in this tournament.
He's good.
But they played a really weakened, battered
Yeah.
Kansas.
But
no contest.
but I tell you
Yeah,
what.
they're hot.
Gonzaga's
hot.
playing well. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
playing
Gonzaga's
they
really
would,
well.
and that the kind of team seems like that would give Purdue some trouble. And then Tennessee just kind of quietly, the one SEC team left, I think,
Well,
aren't they?
and I saw Tennessee and Charlotte, of course.
Yeah.
They almost
And,
blew that game, right, Curry?
Yeah.
They had the lead.
Yeah. Well, because Connect had played so poorly in the first half, but then he started playing.
Yeah.
Started making shots. Dalton Connect, he's their All-American, and Tennessee also has our local boy from Portergaud,
Right.
Joshua. What's his name? Josiah Jordan James.
James.
And you know his story. His mother and dad apparently agreed on names. She would get the biblical name, and the dad would get the basketball name. And that's why he's Josiah Jordan James. And he made a key bucket
He did.
at the end of that
He
game.
did. He
Yeah.
did.
And he's a player.
Yeah, he's not a great shooter, but
No.
he's definitely a player. His dad played at Michigan State with Magic Johnson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't get a lot of playing time, but he was on the team.
Then I'll
See,
drop.
we get,
Then I'll
we
drop
get
this
stuff
right
in
now.
here.
Then
We
I'll
get stuff in here not even CBS has.
I know it. Well, then I'll drop this right in here. The day we are taping this, the Tuesday, is the 45th anniversary of
Here he goes.
of the Indiana State Michigan State game.
Oh wow!
The
How about that?
still
The highest.
most watched college basketball game ever. And I still
neat.
remember seeing. I was one of them. The 35 million who saw it. You were there, probably.
Of course, yeah.
Salt Lake.
Yeah, Salt Lake City. I remember I had to change hotel rooms because there was so much noise, and I was writing. There was so much noise going on in the lobby. We were right up top. I remember I either got thrown out, get in another room, or they moved me. Something. Mary Ann was but you're.
They throw you out of the hotel room.
That's right.
No. We had to move.
He was the one making the
We had
noise.
to move somehow. I can't. But Tennessee's got Creighton now, right?
Right.
And
That should be also a good game. Who do you think wins that game? Honestly, who do you think wins that game?
well, I picked Creighton to go to the Final Four
Me too.
to beat them. But they're on a
Good. This
mission.
is my chance then in
Creighton-
the pool. Where I'm the only one whose big team is
That's
done.
why you're wearing a
That's
medal.
why I'm winning.
That's
Is
perfect.
because I've
tell
done
who your
okay so
final-
far.
your
But I
championship-
got Auburn in the title game and they're done. So.
Well, I think-
But
I
get
think-
back if Tennessee can win this.
I think Creighton is more versatile and more balanced.
Yeah.
They have three terrific players, and they're on a mission. You guys, they believe they were one bad call away from the Final Four last year. They played San Diego State, and it went down to the buzzer, and they were called for a kid's hand was on the shooter's hip. They called a foul. Sent the line. He made a free throw. Game over. They were that close to the
Right.
Final Four. They're on a mission.
Yeah.
And their center, Kalkbrenner, a 6'11" guy, is a terrific defensive player.
Yeah.
I think they can beat Tennessee, and I think he, in a Creighton, Purdue Elite Eight game,
Could
I think
stop.
he can, well, not stop Edey,
But help.
but I think he can help out
Right.
and contain him.
Well, he's
somewhat.
long. He's
Contain
long,
him. He's
and-
long, and Shireman is a left-handed spark. He's a marksman.
Yeah.
And they have a terrific little point guard now, and they have a guy named Alexander. I think Creighton is really good.
They are
and
very
of
good.
course, they beat Connecticut by 20. We forget
Right,
that.
that's right.
At Creighton, it was
right.
a long road trip, as you say. Team Connecticut has to go to Creighton. Wow. But they beat.
Well, when you look at Connecticut, who's everybody's favorite, they lost to Creighton by 20. Houston, who everybody likes, lost to Iowa State by what, 30?
Something like
that. It was,
Yeah.
so some of these really good teams, they can be beat.
They can be beat.
Absolutely.
Can Carolina be beaten by Alabama?
They can. I mean, Alabama wants to get 95 every game, and Carolina will oblige them. This will be up and down. If they want to go up and down, we can do that. It's going to be unlike the Alabama Grand Canyon game, which I think was a nightmare for you to watch. It was so fun for fans to watch and a heart attack for coaches to watch. I mean, the guy on TV said, "How are the North Carolina coaches scouting this game? Because there are no plays.
Right, no
There's
plays.
just one-on-one, no plays, nothing going on.
Total
It's
street
like
ball. It was total street ball. It's like, hey, let's roll out. Hey, guys, you want to play today? Let's go play. We're going to be in front of on national TV. Let's go play.
and my Lopes were 2 for 20 from 3. And even my boy Grant Foster was like, he was terrible. I mean, but he kept going down and going up, and guys, and they let him play under the boards. It was like
Well, the officials let him play the whole game.
it was like murder.
Well, I understand with coaches, when you see your team is not shooting well from the 3-point line, when do you ever say to them, guys, this is not our shot today? But they just have to keep firing away, and some of these teams are shooting 15%, 12%. Come on.
I had a line watching this game because Grant Foster is terrible, and I said we're going to all need Foster Grants to watch this game. I mean, I should have had an audience when I said that.
You should have. You get a rim shot somewhere. All right. Are we? My 4 were Marquette, Auburn, Baylor, and Gonzaga. So I still got. I got to have some stuff happen. I'm
We
you guys are about the
I
same.
think we have
We
the
have the
same
same,
Final
yeah.
Four. Connecticut, North Carolina, Creighton are up. You have them upsetting
you
too,
both had them.
and Houston.
Correct.
And we
Correct.
won't say who going
No,
until
no,
next
no.
week.
We'll save that.
I'm worried about my Tar Heels being in Los Angeles against Arizona in the Elite Eight. If they get by Alabama, now they've got Arizona probably, and it's
Arizona.
the Caleb Love.
Yeah. Don't you think North
reunion
Carolina should
special.
be so fired up to stop him?
Well, he'll be fired up too. I mean,
yeah, I
they're all,
understand that, but I think
he's
North
gonna-
Carolina has the edge on that.
Well,
I think
Caleb
they're a
Love,
better defensive team. I think North Carolina is definitely a better defense.
and I think they're more disciplined, and I think they'll have. I think Baycott, Arizona's got a great, huge center as well.
Right.
Ballo, what's his name? Something like that.
So, yeah.
And I mean, Arizona's a great story too. But as I said, they play in that arena twice a year. Or yes, they play Southern Cal, and I think they play in the arena both Southern Cal and
UCLA.
and UCLA for sure.
Southern Cal has their own.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah,
But
they do.
nobody comes and
You
goes.
worry,
nice.
you worry about too many factors like
Yeah,
that.
you can't get into
Those
that.
factors.
Well,
Get
don't
too-
travel out there, be out there a
Love,
couple days in
Caleb
advance.
Love leaves North Carolina. His backcourt mate, R.J. Davis. Davis becomes Player of the Year in the ACC. Love becomes Player of the Year in Pac-12. And they were supposedly great friends at Carolina. But the whispers in Chapel Hill were always that they had one problem. They had one breakup, and that was over a girl.
Oh.
And the girl is Carolina's star women's player.
Oh.
It's always a woman, right? It's always that. But,
Speaking of the women, we don't want to give them short shrift, but we also don't want to do 30 minutes on them. Theirs is really chalky. I mean, all of the ones, all of the twos, 3 of the 4 twos, all 4 of the 3s. 11 of the top 12 teams are still there, so we don't even have to break that much more down until next week. Next week we will get into the women's group for sure. All right. Baseball season opens Thursday. We must talk about it. We must throw somebody under the bus. There's a really easy one here. We'll do that in just a moment. Welcome back Under the Bus. When you get a couple of basketball guys together, we're not going to talk a whole lot of baseball. Baseball season opens for real. All 30 teams playing on the same day, which is very cool. Doesn't usually happen that way. But of course, everybody in baseball is doing nothing but talking about Ohtani and the issue with his I love it. His interpreter's nickname or name is Ippei. Ippei Mitsuhara.
He needs to be paid.
Well, and he was, apparently, or at least the bookie was. This story still isn't done, although Ohtani has talked, and Ohtani has said, okay, I didn't bet on anything, and this guy had access to my account and took the 4.5 minutes.
And cheated and lied. So we can't throw Ohtani's interpreter under the bus because Ohtani already has buried him under
Yes,
the bus.
absolutely.
Yeah, but see, for Ohtani, for that money to be missing, how would he not know that ahead of time? My bank calls me. Somebody takes $300 out. They're calling me. Go, did you approve this $300 being taken out of your account? $4 million was taken. No one called him to say, "Hey, what's going on?"
The percentage of what he's got in his bank account is about the same as your $300.
Well, probably so. Probably so. Well, you still got to think. How can he not know that?
Well, I tell you in Japanese,
You know.
except I don't have my interpreter here. So
But you've known athletes. I've known athletes. Manny Ramirez.
yeah, they don't know where.
Manny Ramirez, his rookie season, we used to see checks. He didn't do direct deposit. They still wrote checks to him
Right.
when he was a rookie. His checks, and he was a rookie. He still hadn't made the big money yet.
And the money was sitting
And
in his locker.
the check was still in his locker. He hadn't taken it to the. In fact, they had to come down and ask him, "Hey, Manny, you're messing up our books. Will you go deposit your checks?" And he
actually
was
told-
making
you
the
told
minimum.
them that you were working for the.
Yeah, I was when I was in Cleveland. I mean, that was well known. I mean, but that was that was the beginning of Manny B. Manny. I mean,
Well, how about Pete Rose? He's not a happy camper. He came down and said, I should have had an interpreter.
Did he say that?
Yes,
That's
he
a
did. He sure did. He needed an interpreter.
great line.
but again, I maybe they get through this now because Ohtani and MLB's doing an investigation and
Yeah,
they'll
you know
find
where
out.
that'll go. You know where
Yeah,
that'll
well,
go.
They're not going to
I mean,
take
they
him
get,
under.
they get their biggest star, the biggest star in the
Right.
world.
He's the
They're not
face
going to
of
do
the
anything with
league.
him.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No, he's free.
They won't touch him.
But I don't.
They won't touch him.
But it sounds to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned and old school.
Sure.
I'm gonna buy Ohtani's line for now. Are you buying it?
Which line?
Yeah,
And
no.
which? I mean,
The line,
yeah,
the
yeah,
official line on Monday where he said, "I didn't do it. I don't bet on anything,"
Right.
and he took the money from my
and
account.
all the reporters said, "Oh, he was really forthcoming," and they were surprised he was so open. I mean, no questions. He didn't
No,
answer
no,
any
he
questions.
didn't answer any questions,
He
no.
gave his statement, and there were all the Dodgers brass lined up outside, worried that he was, probably terrified he was going to say something that they didn't want him to say.
Well,
And,
he had to say something. He had to come out and say something. And his interpreter's taking he's taking the dive for him, right?
Well, that's why I say
Yeah.
he was under the bus.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he did it too. I mean, it sounds like he's the problem. And,
Oh, I'm sure he
yeah,
is.
and-
I don't know if Ohtani would bet on me. What does he need to bet on? For what reason?
No.
He's you guys who
No,
retire.
I believe him. I believe him.
did-
I just, there's the investigation is a joke.
Right.
MLB is
Sure,
conducting
I
an investigation.
Of what? What are they going to?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, how's your team? I mean, we talk about preseason.
Well,
It's about to open.
who
How's
you
your
gonna
team?
throw
How
under
are
the
the
bus?
Indians going to do?
Well, the Guardians are.
I thought they were the Indians. Sorry.
Are going to struggle. Are going to struggle.
How about my
I think we
Yankees?
need to pick on the Yankees.
Yeah.
I think if, of the team that's going to underachieve, a lot of people think the Yankees have got a shot.
I think
don't think the
their
Yankees have a
rotation's
shot.
not
They got
very
nothing.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, Cole's out. He
Yeah.
might be out for the year, and the guys that they have, and they've already broken down. LeMahieu's hurt already.
Yeah.
Rizzo's hurt. LeMahieu's not starting. He's out for I don't know how many
Well,
days.
same thing.
Rizzo's hurt, but he's still going to play. Judge is hurt. They don't get guys some backups that they need to bring in because knowing that these two old farts from first and third base are going to break down. They've already broken down and they haven't gotten through spring training.
Dodgers and the Braves in the National League. I mean, can
Well,
anybody touch either one of them?
nobody asked, but my St. Louis
Yes.
Cardinals are also hurt. I mean, they got some old pitchers in the offseason.
Yeah,
They got
they
Sonny Gray to start the opener. Now he's hurt. He can't play. So why do these guys get hurt in spring training?
I don't understand.
I mean, I don't get it. All they do is play golf.
We
anyway.
played sports all our lives in
In
high
spring
school.
training,
How many
yeah.
hurt injuries did you have?
Yeah.
It's
I
spring
know.
training. They don't even play every game.
And they
play
complain
game
that spring training is too long.
They're at the beach.
that much
sunny
more
with their
time to get
family.
hurt, I
Right.
guess.
Maybe they get hurt playing golf. Because they don't play a lot of the baseball. They play 2 and 3 innings, right?
Right. That's
And they
all.
don't play
it.
every day either.
No.
They play a game, they sit them out.
Yeah,
Play a
yeah,
game, sit them out.
I don't know.
How
Yeah,
did
it doesn't
how did
happen.
Cal Ripken do it? How did he play all those games?
Makes him look a little more impressive, doesn't it?
Pretty
All
real
the time.
impressive.
I mean,
This doesn't happen in college basketball. The guys get hurt, they go out, and they come right back.
They come
They're
right
playing,
back.
They're playing in the NCAA tournament.
They're
they
diving
just-
on the floor.
Yeah,
They're diving into
Yeah.
the press box.
I mean, it's impressive.
the
Seriously.
dentist just puts their teeth back in and they get right back out there. Oh, no, that's hockey.
Speaking of never get,
Yes.
can we add one more thing
Ask one more thing.
on
Go ahead.
college basketball? I want to
Sure.
talk about Zach Edey
All right.
because this is going to be his second year of Player of the Year. The guy is 7'3", and I want to throw under the bus all these haters and trolls that say he's only good because he's big. And they've been saying about him for 2 years now. And finally, Matt Painter, the Purdue coach, you see what he said?
Yeah.
He came out in the regional, and he in his press conference, he said, I think all these basketball journalists, these experts, should take a test every year. They should take a test on basketball. If they don't pass the test, they go on probation, and they can't write or tweet or do anything for 3 months. He said I think this would be good for society. He said he said for society. He said we knock out all the fools and all those people that meet at the Walmart and say things that don't make sense. Wait a minute, Matt Painter, I think you're in the bus. I go to the Walmart. I practically live at the Walmart, and I say things that make sense all the time. Like,
Would you pass that test?
yeah, like,
we say the three of us have flunked the test.
I go to Walmart all the time. I say things that make sense. I say things like, why isn't anybody in this aisle? And I bought this thing 3 years ago. Why can't I return it and get something in return? So I don't know, Matt Painter. I don't know. Under the bus for him.
Well, he is a good player. Eddie's a good. I mean, he finishes. You can't take that for granted. He is bigger than everybody, and he's strong. But he finishes around the basket. He makes his foul shots majority of the time.
Has this not been an issue since George Mikan? He's only good because he's big.
Right, Will Chamberlain.
Yeah, I mean, he's only good because he's
Nobody
big.
loves a giant, or who said that? Chamberlain, or one of these big guys said.
Probably Chamberlain.
Nobody loves the giant.
You would be the one who have said that.
No,
Nobody
no,
loves
no,
the
no.
giant. Come on.
No, one of these
You're
guys
the
said that.
giant.
Seriously.
All right. Anybody else we got to throw under the bus?
Just
Are we done?
one last thing.
All right.
Referees. They're so inconsistent. One game they let them play.
We can roll the credits now while he does this,
it's-
because this
it's-
will go on
it's
every
just-
week.
They let
Well,
them
he's
hack
right.
each other. And then the next game you can't touch them like this, and it's a foul. They got to be consistent with the play. And the guy Sanford losing on that blocked shot, that was terrible. That never should have been called.
Casper block. Yeah, Casper
well,
block.
tell
Well,
us the story about Casper.
yeah. Well, the guy that blocked the shot from Sanford, A.J. Staten McRae, and it was a chase down block with Duncan. It was a clean block, and he said after the game, he said, straight, clean, left hand, off hand, great play by me, no foul. And he said, if anybody got him, Casper got him. Casper the ghost. He said, I didn't get him. Maybe Casper hit him.
That's a great line. That's a great
Thanks
line.
to Trey and Mahogany and the crew at USC Buford, and our producer Justin Jarrett, for Rich Basirico and Curry Kirkpatrick. Thanks for joining us Under the Bus.
Under the bus.
Thank you.